What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Goblin, and today I'm coming in with a storytime video for you guys about my first time using pills to get high. Now, before I dive into that, I want to say a couple things. One, check out whoever's gameplay this is in the description below, and, definitely subscribe to them for this great gameplay. And number two, I do not recommend doing any of the things I say in videos. Realize that I'm really fucking stupid. And some of the things I do are very fucking stupid, but they make great videos. So definitely don't try this. Don't do what I'm about to tell you what I've done. Please, I strongly recommend avoiding pills, and I'm not saying that just to be a hypocritical YouTuber. Seriously, pills will fuck you up, and do not pop pills. So the pill that I took for my first time was triple C's, and I've only done this drug once. I've only popped pills in general once, and it's because of my experience on triple C's. So what triple C's are is it's a cough and cold medicine, for those of you who don't know, and if you take enough, you can get really high off of it. And some people love it, some people really love the high. I've met people who are completely addicted to triple C's, and I've also heard of people just fucking hating it. So I'm going to share my experience. So I was at a friend's house, and I was already stoned. We smoked a good amount of weed at this point, and by the way, I do kind of recommend trying weed. There's really nothing wrong with it at all, honestly. That's the one drug I'm completely okay with, but everything else is, I don't know. But anyways, so, I was already stoned, and I was just having a really good day. I was in a great mood this day, and my friend pulls out a huge sandwich bag, and he had over 100 triple C's in it, and he pulls it out, and he's like, "You want to try triple C's?" And I was like, sure. I was like, fuck it. I was feeling adventurous. I didn't give it shit. I wanted to get really fucked up because it was the day before my summer school started. And I was like, this is my last day of freedom for a good while. I want to get fucked up. So sure, let's do it. I'll pop these triple C's. And I thought that I was just going to get really high and just have a good time. In reality, I was sloppy and horrible. But basically, I took 14 of them for my first time. And for anyone who's ever done triple C's, they should know that that's way too much for your first time. I, however, didn't know that. They gave me as much as I could handle, not as much as I should have taken to get high. So, they thought that 14 was as much as I could handle, judging by me never popping pills before and just, my body weight and all that. So I downed them. I downed all 14, and they take a good while to hit in. So for the first, hit you, excuse me. So for the first, half hour or 45 minutes, I felt stoned. And all of a sudden, my fingers started tingling, my body, starting from my feet and my fingers, started tingling until it got to the point where I couldn't feel myself. I sat there and I was tweaking out. I was freaking the fuck out because I couldn't feel myself. I didn't know what was happening. I felt like my brain was being pushed on, my skull was being crushed kind of, but it didn't hurt. It just felt like someone was constantly grabbing my head. And it felt really weird. So I was freaking out. I was like, what the fuck? And then it got to the point where I started passing out. And I first passed out. I remember this. I laid down on my friend's garage floor, the dirty ass garage floor, and just passed out. I was out for 20, 30 minutes. And then I woke back up. And they were all just staring at me. They were like, Nick, what the fuck, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm gonna go sleep in my car. So I took a pillow from the garage and I just went and put it in my car, laid my seat back, and I slept. And my car was off. It was 85 degrees. So I was sweating. I was a fucking mess. I was high. I was sweating. I was passing out. I couldn't walk straight. I stumbled to my car and I laid down and it hurt. I just hurt. My head hurt. I felt queasy, and then it really started fucking me up. This is when I was really bad. After I woke up from napping in my car, I felt sick. I felt awful, and I actually didn't puke. I came very close to it, though. I got out of my car, and I started stumbling back towards the garage, and I couldn't make it. I leaned over on his lawn, and I started coughing really hard. I almost puked. I was gagging. I had a hard time getting air, and then I passed out on his lawn, and I took a good, 30, 45-minute nap on his lawn. And then I woke up and went back in the garage and I sat down and I had no clue what was happening. And, at this point I was so fucked up. I was horrible and I hated it. I knew that I was high and I hated it at the time. That's the thing. That's why I'm never going to do it again, because it fucking sucked. I don't recommend that any of you try triple C's. But anyways, at this point, I was still pretty high, because triple C's last a very long time. They last longer than weed, longer than alcohol. These last you a good amount of time. It's just the intensity of my high kind of wore down, and I feel like it's because I slept a lot. I passed out. I was just so fucked that I passed out. My body couldn't handle it. So at this point, I was sitting back in the garage and I was talking to the guy's mom, the friend's house that I was at, because his mom, she's cool. Like, she knows that we smoke, she knows all that stuff, and she's cool with it, so you could talk to her, you could smoke in her house, in her garage, as long as you don't, like, get her in trouble, or you don't, like, deal drugs out of the house or anything that could really get anyone in trouble, then, it's okay. So I was sitting in there talking to this guy's mom, and she kind of, like, helped me through it, and she was like, don't do it again, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to, and I was fucked up. And, I'd been around people who had been off triple C's and they all stayed conscious. I was like the only person that I knew who passed out off of triple C's, like, almost immediately. So, I kept, like, I remember not being able to keep my body, like, still. So I kept, like, shaking. Like, I kept just, like, dancing around and shaking and, like, nodding my head. And I was really dizzy. It felt like the feeling after, like, you spin around a whole bunch and you stop spinning and you can't walk straight. That's how I felt the whole time. And it was horrible. It was awful, along with being sick and queasy and just completely out of it, not knowing what the hell was going on. And then eventually I kind of laid down a little bit, took another, like, nap, and got some food in me. And then I felt great. And after that, I was just kind of really high. I wasn't really, like, bad anymore. Like, I didn't hurt. I wasn't, like... At this point, I was pretty much enjoying it, but still, I would never do it again, and I don't recommend any of you ever try prescription pills. Don't abuse them. It was stupid of me to do it, and it can really fuck you up in the long term. It seriously does cause really bad health problems. So either way, drop a like on this video if you enjoyed. Check out whoever's gameplay was in the description below. Hope you guys enjoyed the story, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.